For our friends in Europe, good afternoon. And for all of you locally here in the United States, good morning and welcome to the Know Before You Go Europe edition. As the Best Sister Cities program in the United States 10 times, we're so glad to have you with us. I'm Mae Ferguson, and I want to thank you all for being here. Many of you are part of our Members Circle of Giving. Thank you for making these kinds of things happen. If you're not a member, we would love for you to join with us. We've got many things coming up the rest of the year. May 18th, we have a community-wide intercultural protocol training class, and our international series speakers events will be coming up. One focus on Amnesty International and another on cybersecurity that you may want to attend. Today we're going to be focusing on our friends in Europe, in France, Germany, Hungary, and Italy. We want to know what's going on with them right now. So much information is coming out about travel opening up, and we know that in-person relationship building is what we're all about. So today we're going to hear from representatives from our four sister cities in these countries. They're going to each present information to you for about 10 minutes, and then at the conclusion of all four talks, we will have questions and answers from the audience. So while you're hearing the presentations, if a question comes up, please put it in the Q&A box, not the chat box. We're kind of used to doing that, but put it in the Q&A box, and we'll try to get to all of those questions at the end of their presentations. We should have about 15 minutes to answer all of your questions, and I know you all have a lot you want to get answered. So the program is going to be moderated by Greg Jackson. Greg Jackson is the chair-elect of Fort Worth Sister Cities. He will be taking over in September of 2022. He's a local attorney here in Fort Worth and was the past Trier chair, so he knows a lot about our European partners. So, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I will see you all at the end of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mae. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for coming today. First, I wanted to start by giving just a little bit of background on what's happening here in Fort Worth in Texas to provide a little context for our European friends and the state of travel and tourism in their countries. Fort Worth, as many as those of you who live here know, sits in Tarrant County. It's the largest, the larger area of Fort Worth and surrounding counties. The county has 1,132,000 residents. Of those, we have about 398,000 who've been fully vaccinated, so that's about 35%. And we have in Tarrant County about 560,000 who have received at least one vaccine. So that's 50%, and that's compared to, from my reading this morning, about 56% nationally. So throughout the United States, where 56% of Americans have received at least one shot of the vaccine. That's compared to 50% here in Texas. From my reading this morning, there's currently is no travel for non-U.S. citizens that's not government related from Europe to the United States. That's on the Centers for Disease Control webpage and by executive order of President Biden. However, here in Texas, Texas is fully open for business. There are no masks required by the state of Texas or any Texas city, including Fort Worth. Individual businesses have the choice to require masks, and many, at least here in Fort Worth, have chosen to do so. Businesses are all open. Schools are open, but they vary, with some schools having virtual learning, some having in-person learning, and some having a mix of the two. I think the plan is for schools to be fully open this fall in person. So we shall see. So with that being said, as some background for here in the United States, first, we're going to hear from about the state of travel and tourism in France. I would like to introduce two gentlemen from Fort Worth sister city in France. That's Nîmes. I'd like to introduce Xavier Douay and Xavier Labon. Mr. Douay is the deputy mayor of Nîmes in charge of tourism, and Mr. Labon is the CEO of Nîmes Tourism. Gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Xavier Douay, Deputy Mayor of Nîmes, in charge of tourism. I've been elected since July 2020, sorry. So I only know the COVID-19 situation until now. I apologize for my English and promise to make progress. Thank you for organizing this time of exchange on the organization of tourism reception in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. The situation in France and particularly in Nîmes is improving. We had a complicated winter during which a curfew and closure of shops and restaurants were introduced. But since last week, the French government has announced a staggered opening program for a return to a normal situation. I will let Xavier Labon, the director of the Nîmes Tourism Office, explain this measure in more detail in this moment. I'm of course delighted to meet sister city of Fort Worth, and I hope that your respective country, the pandemic situation is also improving. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Indeed, as Xavier Douay told you, we are entering a phase of improvement of the situation, and we can hope tourist season for this year. I would like to for introduction, remind you that Nîmes have 150,000 residents, sorry, and we welcome more than 2 million visitors in 2019. So tourist is a big challenge for us. I have a few slides to share with you. All right. Oops. Oh, sorry. Let's go. So reopening Nîmes. We have now an agenda for the reopening. Is the president announced it last week. So I can tell you that first of all, the first date, the major date is the 19th of May, as museum monuments will open, and shops, businesses can reopen too. So it's a major date for us. And we have cafe and restaurant who welcome people only outdoors. This is the first gate. This is in 2 weeks, so we're waiting for this date with lots of impatience. Sorry. The first date is the 9th of June. 9th of June, we have first possibility to welcome foreign tourists subject to health pass. So that means you can come to France in the 9th of June. And we have also possibilities to welcome up to 5,000 people for cultural and sport facilities. So 9 June is a big date also for us. And cafe and restaurant will be opening indoor, including with a maximum of 6 per table. And the curfew will be at 11 o'clock, so we can enjoy the sunny evening, especially for the summer season. Then the last date is the 30th of June, with the end of curfew, end of capacity limits for all the cultural events, and the only thing is the nightclubs remain closed. So we have now an agenda, and as I can tell you that in France, schools are open since last week too, and the campaign of vaccination is improving too, because we have more than 15 million people have been vaccinated right now, and the objective is more than 40 million people for this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate hearing about what's happening in Nîmes and seeing those pictures of your beautiful city. So thank you for that presentation. Next, we're going to learn about the current travel climate in Trier. That's Fort Worth sister city in Germany. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Norbert Kaethler. Mr. Kaethler is the Managing Director of Trier Tourism and Marketing. Mr. Kaethler, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. And a very warm welcome to everyone here in this session, and a very warm welcome from the oldest city of Germany, from Trier. And well, we have, I would say, a restricted course in the pandemic in Germany in total, but we have, I would say, we are currently doing better than other cities in Germany, because, for example, the situation, the pandemic situation, is easing, and at the moment we have an incidence below 100 in Trier, and that means life in Trier is better than in other regions in Germany at the moment. It could change every day, but at the moment it looks much better because, for example, we are currently open air restaurants, shopping is possible, and so on. So the touristic sector is possible for daily tourism. It's not, the hotels are not open at the moment, but we expect changes. As our colleagues of Nîmes said, we are around 30% of people who has got one shot of vaccine, and so we expect improvement soon. We have in Germany, we have no data. I cannot say what will happen on the 1st of June and what will happen on the 15th of June. But we expect that from July on in Germany, tourism and international tourism will be possible again. And I will show you some pictures of Trier so that you can imagine that's really important. I hope it works. It's really a fantastic city, and it's very interesting to see that city again during summer. Here you, for example, you can see the gate, and the gate for us is also a symbol because it's a Roman gate, but it's also the historic border of Trier. And when I think about the last year, I always also must think about the situation when the border in Europe was closed, and the border between Germany and France or between Germany and Luxembourg was closed. It's just 10 kilometers from here. So half of the people which usually come to Trier couldn't cross the border for some weeks. And that's, I think, is now a much better situation. And it helps us a lot because we now are quite optimistic with the pandemic situation, and we are quite optimistic about tourism during summer. So much from Trier, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Kaethler. I can't wait to return to Trier very soon. Next, we're going to hear from our friends in Budapest. That's Fort Worth's sister city in Hungary. I'd like to introduce Mr. Daniel Szabó. Mr. Szabó is the head of the Tourist Information Network at Budapest Tourism / Budapest Brand Nonprofit, PLC. Budapest Brand Nonprofit is Budapest's official organization for tourism, culture, and marketing activities. Mr. Szabó?
Hello. I am glad to be here, and I have shared my short presentation. I cannot say any exact dates about Budapest. I would like to show you what happens right now in our city. So our latest news that more than 4 million people have been vaccinated in Hungary, and approximately 2.2 million have already received the second shots. And the Hungarian government issued an immunity certificate only for Hungarians. I would like to emphasize it's only for Hungarians. So now we count only domestic travel in Hungary. Normally, the citizens of Budapest escape to countryside, and few people travel to Budapest. You have to know that our borders are closed from 1st of September. And right now, there is a state of emergency in effect in Budapest. And the first steps of reopening, regarding we have reached the 4 million vaccinated milestone. We opened the theaters, cinemas, gyms, pools, zoos, and museums. And also sport events can be organized. And also the hotels and the restaurants are open. And who has this Hungarian immunity certificate, they can enter the interior of the restaurants. And also gatherings is maximum for 10 people. So how about the thermal spas? Budapest is famous for thermal spas. Please check it. This thermal spas for all season. It's open during winter and summer. The water is hot. So this is one of the most famous attraction in Budapest. And of course, these thermal spas is only for immunity certificate holders. And how about the curfew? The curfew is start from midnight until 5 o'clock. And the physical distancing is 1.5 meters between each other. And it's obligatory wearing a mask. It's not a must to be a mask an FFP2. And in every supermarket, maximum one person per 10 square meters. And the restaurants are open until 11 o'clock. And on the terraces is not obligatory to wear a mask. And how about the inbound tourism? So unfortunately, the leisure trips are not allowed at this moment to Budapest. So we plan our campaign for domestic travels, and business trips are allowed with restrictions. I would like to emphasize the foreign citizens can enter to Hungary who has a permanent residence permit. And the government gives advantages for athletes and sports specialists who working here, and also for employees of cultural institutions, and of course freight forwarders, and also official visits. It's okay. And business or economic activity. So the MICE sector, the meeting, incentives, congress and events is also runs for European Union members, and for the others who would like to visit some international sport events and cultural events, they can enter to Hungary with a valid and negative PCR test, and they can stay in our city for 72 hours maximum. And the citizens of USA can enter if they come to Hungary for business reasons. If somebody would like to check the situation, you can visit the official website of Budapest, and also I recommend visit the US Embassy's website and the website of Cabinet Office of the Prime Minister, and the Budapest Airport has an up-to-date website. Feel free to ask me, and just press the print screen and save my email address. I am ready to answer if you have follow-up questions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Szabo. I've been to Budapest twice with Fort Worth Sister City. It was an amazing city. I look forward to the day we can return and enjoy those beautiful sights and the wonderful people. So last, but certainly not least, we're going to hear from Reggio Emilia, our sister city in Italy. I'm honored to introduce Ms. Mariana Roscelli. Ms. Roscelli works for the E35 Foundation. That foundation is named after the Rome to Amsterdam European road corridor, which crosses the Emilia territory. The objective of the E35 Foundation is the international promotion of the Reggio Emilia region. Ms. Roscelli.
Thank you so much. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for inviting us. It's a real pleasure to be here with the other European sister city of Fort Worth. I would like to share my screen, and yes, can you see my presentation? Yes, perfectly. First of all, before starting to talk what is happening right now in Reggio Emilia and in Italy, I would like to talking about a little bit what happened just last year in Reggio Emilia, but I think that I can speak for the other European city. I would like to show you a very short video. The text that you see in the video is it in Italian, but I think that the most important are what the video is showing. Just to give you, okay. Here I'm back again. I'm share again my video. with my presentation. Perfect. No, what's happened? Sorry. Something it doesn't work. Okay, perfect. I decided to show you this this video because I think that is something that we have in common. If we are in Europe and you are in United States and all over the world, I think that what's happening in Italy and in France and Budapest and in Germany as was the same that what's happened in United States. But fortunately, the months are 1 year is past, and during the last year, the last 6 months, the municipality of Reggio Emilia put some effort to face this this situation. What we are done as municipality in the last months to support the citizen, the business, the restaurant, the hotel, and everybody in Reggio Emilia. Probably some of the action that has been implemented by the municipality of Reggio Emilia has been also implemented by many other cities in Italy and also in Europe. The municipality of Reggio Emilia has activated a mutual aid fund to supporting the people in difficulty due to the COVID. This was supported by money from the international government that support the single municipality at local level to support people with problem. We opened some voucher for shopping to support people, foreign people that was living in Reggio Emilia. An example that I want to give you of what's happened in the last month in Reggio Emilia is about school. The school, in particular the Infant Toddler Center and the high school was reopened only in September 2020. So this means that the students have virtual learning for at least 3 months before the summer stop. The municipality of Reggio Emilia decided to occupate, sorry if I say the word occupate is not so correct, this means to reuse some space of the city to have open school. In fact, in September, the school in Reggio Emilia reopened, involving new space like museum, like public garden, to permit to the people, to the student to return at school. Unfortunately, this during only for 2 months, 3 months, because last November we returned in lockdown, and we return in the situation similar that we have in March 2020. What's happened about tourism? At the end of last year, we make some analysis. The municipality of Reggio Emilia, the Chamber of Commerce make some analysis, and we have the data that, according to the data that we receive, we see that most of the business, of the travel business, we receive only travel business, not business was most for tourism, of course. The tourism about last year was in particular from France, Germany, and Belgium during summer 2020. We have international visitors from the neighborhood country. We expect the same this summer in 2021. We expect to increase the tourism aspect of Reggio Emilia and in Italy, of course, from next year, probably. The municipality of Reggio Emilia is working in particular for this summer to implement a tourism and cultural strategic plan to support the relaunch at the cultural and tourism aspect, not only in the city of Reggio Emilia, but in the province of Reggio Emilia in general. The currently situation of COVID. I'm happy to see that from April 26, we reopened, Italy has reopened. You can see on the screen the Italy divided in color. You see yellow, orange, and red. Yellow is mean that the province is open. Red means that you are still in lockdown, and orange is half and half. Most of the Italy now is yellow because we have been orange and most of the region was red since 2 weeks ago. Now what's happened? Now what's happened that we are yellow and you are allowed to move from different region of the same color. If you want to move from orange and red region, you must have some green certification, a COVID pass, that allowed you to travel from region from different color. Of course, the travel business from different region of different color are allowed only for work, for necessity, and for health reason. This about transfer, about school and university. The school and the university are returned on in presence. The university too. The university was closed for almost 1 year, and the school was reopened not at the 100%. Because high school is between 70 and 100% in present, but fortunately the kindergarten, primary school and middle school are reopened in present. What about the restaurant? The restaurant now that we are yellow are open, restaurant, bar are open only outdoor. From the 1st of June will be possible to have people also inside the restaurant, but only from 5 EM until to 6 PM. What about cultural? We are very happy because on April 26, finally, the cinema, the theater was reopened. The cultural sector was one of the most affected by COVID in Italy in the last year, absolutely. Business activity are reopened, so if you want to travel in Italy, you are allowed to have shopping, but you must wear your mask. The mask is still mandatory in Italy if you stay inside. Now you can see me without mask because I'm in the office. I'm the only one in my office, so I'm allowed to not wear my mask. But if I have to move from my office to an office of my colleague, I have to wear a mask. The same outdoor. If you are outdoor, the mask is mandatory. If you are walking through the street and you are by yourself, you cannot wear a mask. But if you meet someone else, you must respect 1 meter of distance from one people to another people. And the same when you see the restaurant, you see a lot of the space between a table to another one. If you are traveling to Italy and you take a train, you are obliged to wear a mask. And the same if you visit a museum and something else. Traveling information. If you are traveling from United States, there are some COVID tested flights that allowed you to travel without any restriction. That is mean that is not mandatory to make the quarantine. The Prime Minister just announced 2 days ago that the goal of the government is to reopen Italy at the beginning of June to international flight, but you must have, in any case, a green pass. That it means a COVID test, a negative COVID test, of course, or you must be vaccinated twice. Last but not least, if you want to travel in Italy, as our colleague from Budapest say, I want to say the same. If you want to come in Italy, you are welcome, but you must contact the embassy, United States Embassy in Italy. We have one in Rome and we have one in Milano, because the problem is that the information change really every day. Now we are open since 2 weeks. I don't know honestly what will happen in the next 2 weeks, because every week we have the control of the information. So I don't know. Last but not least, we have only the 10% of the Italian population vaccinated. When I'm reading the newspaper and I'm reading that in United States, the youth from 16, 17, please correct me if I'm not right, are already vaccinated, I realized that we are in a lot of step back to United States. We are only the 10% of the people vaccinated. I'm 43. I was supposed to be vaccinated, I hope, in September, not before. Finish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariana. And thank you all for your presentations about what's happening in your cities. It's very interesting to hear stories like that from around the world. I'd like to ask a question. I mean, on a little more personal note, I know when Fort Worth took a trip to Trier some years ago, one of the highlights of my trip was going to some of our German friends' home and having dinner in their home. And then a year or two later, I had the honor of hosting some of those same friends in my home in Fort Worth. And I mean, those two meals are, you know, one of the most memorable times I've had ever, you know, being involved in sister cities. And so I know things are a little different here in the United States and Texas. As Mariana says, my 16-year-old daughter has been vaccinated. Our whole household has been vaccinated. So I would be more than happy to welcome, you know, a visitor again from Trier into my home for dinner. But I'm just curious, and I hope our panelists will be, you know, candid and honest with us. And since I was talking about Germany, let's start with you, Mr. Kaethler. I mean, how would you personally feel about having, you know, someone from Fort Worth come to your home for dinner these days?
Well, in general, I would be very pleased, and I would be very happy to have some visits from anywhere in the world, and from Fort Worth especially. And the point in Germany is that at the moment, I would say till the end of May, it's more or less not possible to meet with two households. It's just possible to meet one person to another. So it's very restricted. The way you can meet privately is now very restricted. But they are just changing the situation for those people who are vaccinated. So if you come as a vaccinated person, you will have different possibilities to meet other people, different possibilities to use the cultural institutions, different possibilities to go to music, to concerts, to restaurants, and so on. And this will be quite a difficult situation, because we have a two-class society. We have people who are vaccinated, who can do everything. In Germany, people usually of more than 60 years, because in Germany we have vaccinated the people from 60 years on. So the older ones are vaccinated. People up to 59 are not vaccinated, apart from working in a hospital or so on. Then they are vaccinated too. So we have young people in the healthcare system, and old people who can use these things, and we have all the others who cannot. But that will change. I think about the next 4, 6, 8 weeks that will change. So I expect that from July on, this, I would say, two-class society will stop.
Thank you. Mr. Szabo, same question. I mean, and Mr. Kaethler, I really appreciate your honesty. Mr. Szabo, what are your thoughts on, you know, currently, you know, welcoming a delegation or, you know, a delegate from Fort Worth to your home for dinner?
Okay, it depends on the families. So as I mentioned, in Hungary, maximum 10 people can get together, but the restaurants in the last week are opened. So the younger generation are going to restaurants, to terraces, and they are drinking together. they were really eager to go out and live their social lives. And of course, it depends on the vaccinated people. Normally vaccinated are going to meet somebody after the first vaccination, somebody wait for the second shot. And it's also I would like to mention, for example, we stay with a little baby. She is 13 months old, and I have been in a supermarket last October. We order everything at home. We haven't seen our parents like 4 months before. So we keep serious it, and we got the first vaccine, and somebody don't care about it. So it depends on the education also and the area. A lot of people prefer to go out to open air, and it's also they can also get the disease on open air.
Thank you. Ms. Rochelle, same question.
I can hear you very well. Sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. The same question to you. What are your thoughts on, having someone from Fort Worth, say, who's in Reggio to your home for dinner? And either your thoughts or what are the current restrictions in place that might prevent you from doing so?
Yeah. Yes, as I say, the feeling now is quite a little bit better than some months ago. So we are really optimistic because we see what's happened last summer, and now we have more people vaccinated. Of course, not so much, but the vaccinated campaign is going a little bit better now since the beginning. So we are quite optimistic for have people from other country. Of course, you must have your green pass. How to get it? Probably there are no specific information right now about this, but probably there will be an app, so the people will be able to download this app and show the green pass. So that's it. Of course, you have restrictions. So for example, it was written in my presentation, but I forgot to mention it now. You are allowed to move from different region, but from 5 in the morning until 10 in the night. And also the restaurant close at 10 in the night. And if you want to, you are allowed to visit, to go in another house just once in a day. I don't know how they can control this, honestly. But yes, is it you are obliged to, if I want to visit a friend of mine that is not in my city, if I can go there just once, and he can host just 2 people from the same family. 2 people from different families, sorry. If you are from the same family, there are no limitation of number, of course, but if you are from different family, you can have maximum of 2 people. At the restaurant, you can sit at the same table, only 4 people if you are from different, if you're from different family. If you are from the same family, you can have a table of 10, for example.
Very interesting, thank you. And Xavier Labon, same question.
Yes, thank you. In France, actually, it's okay if you have 6 person maximum. If you can have a dinner with 6 person, but in your house, yeah, because restaurants are still closed. So if you want to come, you can come on the 9th of June. You're more than welcome. I can organize something in Nîmes. There will be no problem on the 9th of June if you have your health pass.
Very good, thank you. I'll be knocking on your door.
Okay, great.
Okay, so another question from our audience. And I know, like, for example, here in the United States, even if you want to travel to the state of Hawaii, even if you have been vaccinated, you're required to present proof, a negative COVID test, even if you have been vaccinated. And I think there's one portion of Hawaii, you have to present that test, and you have to also take another test when you arrive, and that's even if you've been vaccinated. So for each of your countries, I mean, do you have any information on what the requirement either currently is or will be likely for tourists coming to your country? Let's start back in Nîmes, Xavier.
Yeah, we don't have any information about that right now. The information are changing a lot. So we're just waiting to the information about the health pass. We don't have any information right now.
Mariana, same question. Any idea what the requirements will be?
Yes, the same in Italy. Quite sure you must have a COVID test negative, of course, but there are not so specific information. This is why I say during my presentation that the most important things to do is contact not only the travel agency or the flight company that you decide to take to come in Italy, but the embassy. For sure, you must have a COVID test negative since 48 hours before, of course. We know that in many airports in Italy, in particular in Milano and Rome, there are COVID area. So you make some fast tests when you arrive at the airport also, that you can do also like this. Of course, for the people vaccinated, that the government are discussing if for the people that have received the second shot, of course, not only one, the second shot, there will be less restriction than for the other that are not vaccinated. Absolutely, there will be this distinction in the next month if you will be travel in Italy. And also to answer to a question that I wrote to a Q&A, what about the student that we are usually used to host in Reggio Emilia? I'm quite sure that the family will be very, very happy to host again next year the student, but I think that they must be vaccinated.
Thank you. A little more of a general question. How, as we're talking about different cities and countries reopening, how are the people in your cities responding to the reopening? Are they going out in greater numbers? Are they not? Are most people wearing masks? Or I know in some places in some countries the mask is required. And so just how in general are your citizens responding to the reopening? Let's start in Trier. You're muted. Norbert, you're muted.
Well,
there you go.
We have just seen this video from Italy, and we have made a very similar video from Trier from last year March. So nobody was on the street, and now it's quite different because the restaurants are open, the shops are open. So we have a lot of people in the city at the moment till 10 o'clock in the evening, and I suppose it will take longer time in summer. So we expect that the people are really hungry of meeting again in the city and coming together and having fun together. That's my impression of that, what people want in Germany, because I would say the COVID it's not over, but the government, for example, works at a plan of a vaccination of a common I would say passport, a vaccination passport, which will be accepted. and well, that will come in June or in July. So I think everything will be very much opener than now.
Sorry, in Budapest, Danielle, how are people reacting to reopening in Budapest and in Hungary from your experience?
On the first day, there were a lot of articles, and it was like a big festival. A lot of young people went out and sat to the terraces. And as I mentioned, on the terraces is not obligatory to wear a mask. So, and these young people didn't get any vaccination. So for me, I think it's a risky situation. On the other hand, people wear masks on public transportation, of course, opener areas, in shops. And if somebody go out to the nature, they don't really wear mask. Normally, police check the mask wearing, and they can find the people who has no masks on.
Mariana?
Yes, last weekend was the first one with the bar open, the restaurant open. And I really see a city completely different from 10 months ago. Our office is in the center of the city, close to the municipality. And when I go out of my office last Friday at 6:30, my first feeling was, oh my God, because there was like a festival, as our colleague from Budapest say, it was a festival, it was full of people. They are walking through the street with glass of wine, talking to each other. Of course, the people that was walking through the street was wearing a mask. The one was sitting at the bar, because you are not allowed to take a drink and walk through the street. If you want to have a drink, now you must sit at the restaurant or at the bar or in the Dior. But it was funny because I realized that some bar that normally doesn't have a Dior, now they have the Dior. This was one of the actions that municipality tried to do in the last month, and support bar and restaurant to have free Dior for the next 2 or 3 months, to support restaurant and bar to have space outdoor. But the people really want to go outside, want to stay outside, and then yes, the feeling was this. But this is why during my presentation I say we open on Feb. Now we are open. I don't know what's happening in the next 2 weeks, honestly. Because of course we are lucky because the sun is shining, and so you can stay outdoor. The people are, last week I went out for a dinner. I sit out at the table, they start raining. What we do, we open an umbrella and we'll continue to have dinner under the rain because we want to stay outside. But of course, the feeling is it's also like this and say, oh God.
Yeah. And Xavier, how about in Nîmes? How are the citizens reacting to reopening?
We're not in reopening situation right now. We're waiting for the 19th of May. So, but I can see everybody is preparing restaurants and coffee and cafe for this date. So I think it will be a big festival too in France on the 9th of May, but we're wearing masks. We have to stay seated if we want to enjoy the coffee and restaurants. We'll see very soon now.
Yeah, well, good luck on that. We just have a couple more minutes. I wanted to ask a question that I received, and it doesn't necessarily have to be answered by everybody, but maybe one of you could volunteer to answer it. And are you aware whether decisions by the European Union regarding COVID, are they in any way binding on the individual member countries or countries on their own? Because, here in the United States, that the federal government certainly has some restrictions, but states are allowed to, kind of operate on their own. We were wondering how European decisions affected member countries, if they did, regarding COVID.
Well, to answer it shortly, even in Germany, there's a federal COVID policy, so every state has different COVID rules. So in the European Union, the pandemic situation is very, very different. So and even in Germany, we have regions with an incidence of 20, and we have regions with an incidence of 600. So it's quite hard to make one policy for such different situations.
Understood. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Yes, the same in Italy. In fact, we see that we are 4 cities and we are reopened in different moment, in different time differently. So, but of course, I think that to be politically correct, I see that to be part of, we felt Europe very close in the last month, absolutely yes. But of course, different country have faced COVID in different situation in a different way. But I think that was an add value to be part of this, because there will be, I'm quite sure, if I can talking about European project, because this is what we are working on. And I see that they have been launched a lot of new European program and project to recovering for funding related to COVID. So this will be very interesting for the next months, for example.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, I think that's all the time we have. I'm sorry for those questions I was not able to get to. May, I'll turn the floor back over to you.
Well, so much information, and I just can't thank y'all enough for all of our friends for joining us today, because we are all so anxious to come and visit you and to have you come visit us. Fort Worth, like Greg said from the at the very beginning, we are open, and the restrictions are lessening every day, and I think people here are becoming more and more comfortable as we are getting vaccinated and joining each other for special occasions. So when you feel comfortable, we would certainly welcome you here to Fort Worth and want you to come. And we are all very, very anxious to come and visit you. We have our very first international trip planned in February. We're going to Toluca, Mexico to see the monarch butterflies. But then after that, we hope to make it to Italy in the spring and France in the fall, and then Budapest and Trier are next on our calendar. So all of you in the audience here, if you want to join us on any of these trips next year, please visit our website. And once again, to all of you, thank you so much for giving us this time to talk with you. We hope and pray that you and all of your families remain safe and healthy, and that we are back exchanging people and ideas very, very soon. Greg, thank you for leading the questions and moderating the evening. And for all of the rest of you, please join us. As I said, visit our website for upcoming events. So thank you very much. Bye.